watching a lone fox trot across the empty car park below. A year ago, we were millionaires sipping cocktails in the Caribbean. A month ago, we were bankrupts trying to sell radioactive soup spoons and swearing at Scottish toasters. And now we're minor celebrities because the whole country thinks we're idiots. Rodney finished the thought, though there was no real bitterness in his voice anymore. Just a weary acceptance. Ah, but they're paying us to be idiots, Rodney, Dell corrected, tapping the side of his nose. There's a massive difference. We're providing a public service. We're bringing joy to the masses and getting handsomely compensated for it. Rodney looked out at the skyline. Do you miss it, Dell? The real money? The Harrison watch? Dell was quiet for a long moment. He looked down at the gold sovereign ring on his finger, then over to the battered yellow three-wheeled van parked below, illuminated by the street light. Sometimes, Dell admitted softly, sometimes I miss the feeling of walking into a room and knowing I could buy everything in it. But you know what? He turned to look at Rodney, his expression uncharacteristically sincere. When we had all that money, we were stressed. We were worried about stock markets in countries I couldn't even point to on a map. We were living in a world of sharks, rotters. And we're not sharks. We're trotters. What does that mean? Rodney asked. It means we survive. Dell smiled, the old twinkle returning to his eye. We hustle. We duck and dive. We get knocked down. And we get right back up, dust ourselves off, and try to sell the bloke who knocked us down a dodgy watch. Rodney chuckled, shaking his head. I suppose we do. Dell raised his glass toward the gleaming skyscrapers in the distance, but this time there was no longing in his eyes, just a cheerful defiance. Let 'em have their glass towers and their boardrooms, Dell declared to the London Knight. We've got the market. We've got the pub. We've got the family. He clinked his glass against Rodney's. And you mark my words, Rodney, Dell said, his voice ringing with that eternal, beautiful, unbreakable optimism. This time next year, we'll be millionaires. The sky's the limit, a Trotter Odyssey, based on the chronicles of Derek and Rodney Trotter. Chapter 1, The Ghost of Millions Past. The sun used to set differently in Miami. Back then, it wasn't just a celestial body sinking into the horizon. It was a golden coin, a 6.5 million pound sovereign being deposited into the vault of the Atlantic. Derek Delboy Trotter remembered the feel of the silk shirts, the taste of the finest cognac that didn't come from a plastic bottle, and the way people looked at him not as a fly pitcher from Peckham, but as a business mogul. But that was then. Now, the sun was setting over the concrete monoliths of the Nelson Mandela House, and it looked more like a rusty copper, struggling to shine through the smog of South London. Dell sat in the back of the yellow three-wheeled Reliant Regal, the engine coughing like a heavy smoker in a winter draft. He watched Rodney, his younger brother, staring out the window with a look of existential dread that had become his permanent expression since the stock market crash. "I'll fetch the suitcase from the van," Dell muttered, though they weren't going anywhere. It was a reflex, a memory of a time when suitcases meant vacations in Barbados, not hiding from the inland revenue. "Rodney, you look like you've just found out the library's run out of books on bird watching," Dell said, trying to inject some of that classic trotter bravado into the stale air of the van. Rodney didn't turn. "I'm nervous. Dell, this bloke we're going to see, Justin, is he going to be asking about things?" "Things? What things?" "My private life. Cassandra. The hiccups." Dell rolled his eyes, adjusting his sheepskin coat, one of the few relics of his former glory that still fit. "He's a professional, Rodney. He's not interested in your bedroom department. Besides, I told you in confidence it stays with me. I'm not going to be telling him about jiffins or what Cassandra wears when she's annoyed with you. You just mentioned them." Rodney hissed, his lanky frame unfolding as he stepped out onto the damp pavement. They were about to enter a world they hadn't visited in years, the world of accountability. The millions were gone, evaporated in a Central American market crash that had been as swift as it was brutal. They had gone from penthouse suites to the old flat in Peckham faster than a falling safe. As they walked toward the office of Justin, the man who would document their success and subsequent transition, Dell felt a pang of nostalgia, a thought of Uncle Albert, who was currently living his best life down on the coast with Elsie Partridge, probably regaling her with tales of during the war for the 10,000th time. He thought of Raquel and little Damien. Life had been a carousel, and right now, the music had stopped, and they were stuck on the wooden horse that had lost its legs. Chapter 2. The Inquisition of a Traitor. The office was clinical. It smelled of floor wax and broken dreams. Justin sat behind a desk that probably cost more than Dell's entire current inventory of digital watches. "I've got the basic details," Justin said, peering over spectacles that made him look like a very judgmental owl. "But I want the real you, the raison d'etre." Dell leaned back, crossing his legs. "Ah, laboratory Garney. Exactly." Rodney winced. "He means reason for being. Dell." "Whatever." Dell waved a hand. "Where shall I start? Well, we were ordinary blokes, until I found that watch, the Harrison Lesser watch, a masterpiece, a national treasure, which you flogged," Justin noted. "We preferred the term privatized for personal gain," Dell corrected smoothly. £6.5 million. We divvied it up. Made sure Uncle Albert had a nice drink, a very large one, and then we thought of the future. We went to a stockbroker, Vibrant Ventures, Central American markets. We were making money faster than the Royal Mint." As Dell spoke, the narrative in his head was a technicolor epic. In reality, it had been a blur of champagne, bad investments